I just finished recording a review. I have been awake for 28 hours now. If I say something stupid, it wouldn't really be out of the ordinary. Okay, episode 3 of the DIMMterrogation, go! Freshly squeezed orange juice asks, can I have a link to that wallpaper? So, yes, moving forward, I will try my best to remember to link the wallpaper I use in the description of each video. The one I have now is actually a couple of different wallpapers. I'll throw them all down there somewhere. The one I had last time was a blue and pink fractal thing. I guess I'll throw that down there too. Though my method of searching for backgrounds is usually just Googling the colors and then adding the words fractal or 4K and wallpaper, or whatever theme I have going on at that time. This one happens to be Portal because I saw Paul from Paul's Hardware and Kyle from Bitwit do it, and I thought it might be fun. So if for some reason you're in a rush and not having that wallpaper right then and there will cause your head to spontaneously combust and I don't have it listed or I haven't responded to you yet, then you can try starting there. The next question he asks is, since you have the Air RGB fans, you can control them via the cam software, right? I have some stock case fans and I have to use the BIOS to adjust RPM on the rear and top exhaust. Do you have it at a constant RPM or does it ramp up with the radiator fans? Cam does not allow you to control fan speeds as far as I can tell without first having the NZXT Grid Plus fan hub installed in your system. I personally keep them at a constant RPM. I keep it relatively low. I don't mind the temperatures because they don't seem to be a problem right now. I do plan on making some upgrades shortly, and when that happens, I will do some more temperature testing. And if there's a problem, I will reevaluate my current air situation. Rohith Palagiri. Boy, I'm sure I said something wrong there, I'm sorry. He asks, I'm trying to front mount my Kraken X62 to my Evolve ATX tempered glass case, but it doesn't seem to be lining up. Could you provide some instructions on how you did it? Okay, so I responded to him in a private message, not in the comments, but if anybody else was curious, the Endu Evolve case has a basement plate that you need to remove first. After you do that, there's also an entire drive cage that also has to come out. And you access the screws to remove that from the bottom of the case, so you either have to pick it up or put it on its side. After that, you should be able to figure out where the radiators are supposed to go. Just note that you won't have any room for 3.5-inch drives if you front mount a 280 or a 360mm radiator. Sorry. Zyman Tomiak? Sorry. Hello friend, could you tell us your opinion about Ryzen in the next video or something? And he says I can hurt his name, but I'm apologizing anyway. Okay, so I prepared my answer for this, and then the reviews came out before I could actually get to this video, but my opinion remains largely unchanged. Ryzen chips right now, being the 8-core 16-thread workhorses they are, seem to excel at productivity applications like video rendering. My initial assumption was that due to lower clock speeds, Ryzen would probably fall behind in gaming performance compared to Kaby Lake, but that also seems to carry over to the 6900K as well. This could be due to a number of reasons, but I'm thinking it's probably because the software on the game developer side is more geared towards Intel than AMD at the moment. That'll probably change within a few years. Games kind of take a while to come to fruition, but that'll be like a few years from now, and there's going to be newer and better things by then. In terms of rendering and productivity, the 1800X seems to be either on par or beat the 6900K by a little bit in many instances, and it shows a significant advantage over the 7700K. Comparing the price point, it's a great purchase. It's marginally better than the 6900K for productivity and a bit worse for gaming for half the price. So if you do a lot of video work or something and some gaming, recommending Ryzen is a pretty easy decision. If you do primarily video games, Kaby Lake still seems to be the best choice. If you want the best of everything, then Intel's enthusiast chips are still pretty much the overall winner. However, you could also say that some applications like Adobe Premiere have the advantage of utilizing your GPU or CUDA support, which allows your graphics card to take on a lot of the rendering load, and this will pretty much always be better than letting the CPU handle the brunt of the work. And that makes Ryzen a little less enticing for the productivity side of things, but still, half the price. It's $500 US. That's $500 isn't cheap, but it's way cheaper than a 6900K. Both. Now before you go, okay, I'm gonna go buy Kaby Lake, or okay, I'm gonna go buy Ryzen, I still recommend waiting if you can. AMD is going to be releasing their R5 chips in Q2 of this year, and those are supposed to be quad and hex core, I believe, meant to compete with Intel's i5 and i7 line. And I'm assuming the lower core count means higher clock speeds, so there could be some gaming gains there. Ryzen is still brand new, so motherboards are going to have like new BIOS and UEFIs coming out, and there's going to be better driver support and all that fun stuff, and most likely Ryzen performance is just going to keep getting better. I don't think it'll boost gaming performance enough to beat a 7700K, but better is better. Also, there seems to be a thing with the RAM where Ryzen chips could have difficulties clocking DDR4 RAM higher than like 2666 megahertz, I think. If you only populate 2 of the DIMMs, you might be able to get a little higher, but I make no promises. Also, grain of salt, since I haven't actually tested Ryzen myself, I'm just going based off what I've read and what other reviews I've seen. Guinea asks, do you have any recommendations on this build I'm planning? And then there's a PC part picker link that I'll either link in the description or I'll flash it on screen or something. I'm not going to talk specifically about this build, but I do want to make a small example out of it. I get a lot of links like these on like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and the biggest thing I see people doing that isn't wrong but also not really necessary is going a little bit beefier on the power supply for a single card configuration at least. You can do it if you want, but if you want to save some cash, in most cases a 600 watt power supply is more than enough to handle like your average single card system. Sometimes you can go as low as 450 or 500 watts, but 450 is cutting it pretty close, I think. Now, don't take this as me saying you can cheap out on a power supply, because you can't. I'd be heartbroken if that's what you thought I said, and then you did it, and then everything ended up getting fried. The power supply is like one of the only components where I will stick to a reputable brand, only because I've seen lesser power supplies kill entire systems. I made the mistake once a long time ago, and I could not for the life of me figure out what happened. And then I eventually found out that the power supply rectum hammered the system when I tried to boot it, and literally every component was dead. So reputable brands for me, in my opinion, off the top of my head, are like EVGA, Corsair, Silverstone, Be Quiet, Thermaltake, Cooler Master, and I can't think of any more at the moment, but I'm sure they exist. But back to the main point, 650 to 800 watts is kind of a weird spot. It's a lot for a single card system, but not really enough for 2. Like the lowest I would go for 2 high-end cards is 800 watts just to be safe. And you might be thinking, well, Steven, you fat ass, no good scumbag hypocrite. You're running 1000 watts in your system and you only have 1 GPU, so what's up with that, nerd? And you're right. I bought this power supply a couple months ago to prepare for something being released next week. Spoiler alert. Again, a more powerful power supply isn't a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with it, you can do it, it won't kill your system, it's just not something you need. We can get into the nitty-gritty about efficiency and stuff, but realistically you'd be saving a few cents on your electricity bill every year, and over several years it'll probably equate to something like $2.16, depending on where you live. Philly Skippy asks, why is your voice so soothing and calm like Bob Ross? I don't have an answer as to why, but I wanted to throw this question in here to kind of emphasize a point and toot my horn a little. When I first started, I had 2 main concerns, and the first was I was worried that my delivery wouldn't be well received. Too much enthusiasm, or not enough enthusiasm, or, weird body language, apparently I do that a lot, tone, and, all that stuff. And second thing was my voice. I didn't want to think that people would listen to me and go, oh, I wish I didn't have to hear this bimbo robot talk for 7 minutes just to find out the 30 seconds of information I actually need. And while some people seem to think I sound like Microsoft Sam, a lot of you seem to like it. So the point is, if you're not sure about something, just do it. It may turn out better than expected. I wore the Nike hat just for this video, just for that one line. So that's all I got for this one. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, share, leave me questions if you've got them. That'll help me structure the next video. And my Patreon link is in the description if you want to support me and the time I put into doing these things. But if you're saving up for a new PC or something, don't you dare. Thanks for watching. My name is Steven and I am ALittleDIMM. Bye bye. Freshly squeezed orange juice asks, orange juice? Freshly squeezed orange juice. Get under it or reorient it or reorient it or something. I'm trying to front mount my Kraken X62 to my Evolve ATX tempered glass case. Simon or Zymon? Zymon. That's pretty fun to say, actually. Why is your voice so calm and soothing? And that's not the order he asked it in. My Patreon link is in the description if you want to support me and the time I put into doing these things. Put into doing seems to be hard to say for some reason. Don't you dare.